Hello and welcome to Assemblies of the World with me, Anna Isabel. And I am so happy because I've got two guests today, and they are Ruth Milner and Alison Standish. Welcome to you both.
Hello.
Thank you, Anna. It's
Yeah,
lovely to
thank
be
you.
here again.
So I am wearing this bright pink today, and I'd forgotten that we were going to be talking about color when I chose this last night when I was very tired. And I just wanted something bright because it's spring. And so the audience might be wondering why I'm talking about the color I'm wearing, but that's because these two ladies are experts on color. In fact, Alison has the color ministry and has written a wonderful book about color. In fact, she's written two beautiful books about color, and one of them is Know Your Color Personality. So, what is color? Let's begin there. What is color?
Go on, Ruth. You can answer that one.
Oh, well, light and colour is has physiological effects on us, emotional, spiritual, psychological effects. It's just a life full of colour is just divine, and people have got to, I think, become more conscious of colour, the meanings of colour and the qualities of colour.
Okay, so that's a fairly powerful statement. We need to do this. Why, Alison? Why?
Yeah,
It actually. What is color actually?
so for me, color is the science. So if we go back to school days, which was a long time ago for me, and maybe a bit shorter for you guys, but um, color is a frequency. And I know that's the buzzword in and a vibration, but if we go back to the physics of life, everything is just energy. And so color is a form of energy. And basically, color is light split into different frequencies. So it has the power of being very fast. We always go, I would think of Star Trek traveling by the speed of light. We think light is the fastest speeds, but we're starting to learn that in the quantum world, there's much more speed than just light. But light is in terahertz. So if a hertz is sound, so when we listen to the radio and we're tuning in to 100 hertz, for example, which was Kiss FM, then we would receive 100 hertz to hear that sound. When we're talking about light and color, we're talking about trillion hertz, so a much faster frequency. And basically, it's light that is refracted off or bounced off particular objects at a certain frequency. So, and then our physical eyes and our brains transfer that data into a form of color, and the rainbow is that part of color that most humans will be able to see. And I say most humans because we have to think of the people that are colorblind and different frequencies that some people can't see. But if we look at the insect world, they only look at a selection of the colors, but look much more into the ultraviolet, so even faster rays. So for me, color is an opportunity to harness frequency at different vibrations that can have different effects, just as Ruth said, on the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects of all of us. And we are all light. So we all carry light within us, and we all refract light at different frequencies.
The animals have got biophotons as well, haven't they?
They have, yeah. So, and for the animals, they do too. So, and they sense. I mean, especially with cats and things like that, they're quantum. They're sensing much higher frequencies than we would be sensing.
It's interesting that you talk about sensing color because dogs we know do not see colors that we see, and it's primarily the blues and yellows. Um, and yet, I about 3 or 4 years ago, I was speaking with an animal communicator who was talking to Teddy, my dog, and she talked about him really liking reds and golds. And I said, but he can't see red. And she said he can sense it. And so, it's really funny you should say that because we don't think of color as something that we can sense. Um, okay, that then is about frequency and sensing that energy of the color. So I guess my question then is, can you give us an idea, if we're looking back at the rainbow, as to what each of those primary colors give us? So where would you begin?
So, yeah, I mean, if you're right, Ruth,
Yeah, that's
I'm happy
fine.
to do that. So when we're born, or birth, well, I'm not going to say birthed. When we're born, then the first color we actually see is red. So as a baby, it will be the first vibrational frequency, and that's interesting because red is very much about survival. It's the color of our blood, or most of our bloods. It's the color of different. It's about being grounded. It's the color of the earth, and so that's the first color that we see. And if we go just back a little bit on the history, if we go back to the pyramid and the refraction of light in the 1600s by Newton, we know that we've got red, orange, yellow, green making up our rainbow. But of course, in the Eastern world and in the Chinese, so go back to ancient China, all of them knew that those colours would have effects on our body, and they automatically had them as red, orange, green, or red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and all the way up to the violet. It for me, it's a mix of all of those environments together. So you've got the what I would call Western of it being split. So in the Eastern, it would relate to chakras, which are energy points within the body, and energy fields. And so they are also red, orange, yellow, green, so through the body, and use those for healing. So the rainbow, the lowest frequency and the longest wavelength, which is red, is the hottest, because technically, from physics, we go from sound to heat, and then from heat to cool. So the faster a frequency gets, the cooler it becomes.
That's interesting because we would associate speed with heat because of friction. So it's the other way around.
And also it's the red wavelengths now that are being recognized very scientific, through modern science, that it's those lower frequency colors that penetrate deeper into the body as well. So if you think, if you're traveling along in your car and you have somebody that comes up beside you with a very loud bass balance on their on their music, you hear that low frequency sound before you hear the higher sounds. So it's a lower frequency wavelengths that are being recognized, that penetrate deeper into the body.
Interesting that, because we're told that this dimension in which we live, this planet, has a denser, lower frequency. And we associate the root chakra with that color and red. And it seems to be that it's red that we respond to best. So it's just an interesting connection that is there for us to consider. I doubt it's a coincidence, but
No, and I think, yeah, and I think that's interesting too. And I always say that if the planet is getting warmer by climate change, then we're dropping our frequency instead of increasing our frequency. So
and
you have to go back a long, long way for many, many, many more thousand of years to know that actually we're getting cooler than getting warmer because our frequency is increasing.
it's also interesting because, well, two things come to mind. So many children, if you ask them what their favorite color is, it's red. And you were talking about that, babies is the first color that we see, but red, there's something cheerful and bright and energetic about it, and it appeals to us for that reason. It's also associated with the sign of Aries, which is the youngest sign, the first sign of the zodiac. So again, we're back to that, energy and drive. And I think too, what you're talking about, the evolution of our frequency, that as our frequency goes higher, it cools. And it makes you think of our language, because we talk about people being hot-headed or having a cool head. And so hot-headed being, very impulsive, and a cool head thinking things through and perhaps being less emotional. So I think it's very interesting that you're talking about it in these terms, because our language actually reflects this. It's something that it seems we have known because the language has been there for a long time. And of course, it is that way because those who know astrology, and particularly traditional astrology and the humors, we understand, choleric means, red, it's hot, it's fast. And it's not undesirable as such. I think people need to understand, we're not saying that this is undesirable. It's just a process of development that we go through. And it's not about suppressing emotion either. It's about actually feeling the emotion and then being able to reason, so that we're not just reacting, and that we're in control, really and truly, not through suppression, but through understanding. So very interesting what you've just said.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I've learned from Ali is that with each colour, there's always there's a balance, obviously, of each colour, but there's the best qualities, and there's also, when things get out of balance, there's the naughty qualities. And with red, for me, yes, there's some people might find it, relating to being hot-headed, and it's obviously passionate. You're really passionate about something. That's where that quality comes from. But also, because my partner is a double red, but he's very grounded. You associate being grounded with the colour red as well.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's a good combination, because I can be away with the fairies in magenta, and he'll bring me back to earth.
Makes you think of that red Devon soil, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does. And I think the thing is that lots of people say, oh, I don't want to be a red personality. But actually, I just say to them, but that is just courage. For me, red represents imbalance, courage. Without it, we wouldn't be able to move forward. We wouldn't be able to step where we need to be. And, we're in 2026. It's a 1 year. So when we add the 2, 0, 2, 6 together, we get 10. And then 1 plus 0 is 10. And so we're in a red year, a 1 year this year, which fits totally with the fire horse of the Chinese astrology, totally about all the astrology that's going on. It's new beginnings. And red brings us new beginnings, new chances to do things. And I think we've been programmed a bit where we think that red is negative. But if we didn't have it on stop signs, it wouldn't flag up for us for everything. So, and people say, oh, but you got red rag to a bull. And I go, yeah, but bulls are colorblind. Only the audience sees the red rag. That's for just show. It's not for, the what it actually means. But that passion and drive and what red can bring is so important. It's part of, they all have to be there. All the colors have their place. And we need it. And I don't have any red in my personal colors. And sometimes I have to wear it or need it around me to push me forward, to get me fired up.
So how do you, for me as an astrologer, I can see the colors related to the signs and, work it out that way. How do you look at personalities? So I think Ruth mentioned her partner is a double red. So how do you do that? How do you assess what colors a person perhaps is responding more to, or the frequency that they are at through color?
Yeah, it's one of those. It's quite interesting, I think, isn't it, Ruth? Over the years, where it's one of those things that you think, oh, that might not work, but actually, when you see it in action, you can see parts of it. So it's very simple, and it comes from your date of birth. So we're taking numerology.
This is where good mental maths comes in.
Yeah. And so if you're a yellow, that's really good because they've got good brains. So yellow. So you take your date of birth, and then you add it up together to get to a single digit for your life path number.
So is this when we're talking about the date of birth, is it the whole of the date of birth? So the date of the day, the month, and the year. So you add
the four figures.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you were the 1st of January 2000, I'm going to do an easy one. Then you're 1 because you're January. So the month is 1, February's 2, March is 3, 4, and we're doing it by the Gregorian calendar. So and then you add your year up. So 2001 would be 32001. So 3. So it'd be a 113. And then that would make a 5 in total. So you take your day, your month, and your year, and you add them all up together to get a single digit. And your single digit relates to a color. And it's very simple. It works on the chakra color basis. So 1 is a red, 2 is an orange, 3 is a yellow, 4 is a green, 5 is a blue, 6 is an indigo, 7 is a violet. And then there are 2 more, 8 and 9. And in color therapy, we use these 2 other colors. 8, which is magenta, which is what Ruth is. And 9, which is gold, which is what I am. So, and it can't be white because white isn't a color, and it can't be black. Everybody goes, oh, I'm going to be black. And you'll go, no, you can't, because it's not a color. It's just all the colors without light. And white is all the light without any shadow in it. So, so that gives you your core personality. And that is your frequency, who you truly are deep down inside. And I don't know whether you come and do lots of journeys with that, but when this was when they used color like this in the Egyptian pyramids,
2,500 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. In the Egyptian pyramids, there are lots and lots of information about using color to help heal, etc. So your core color is your personality. And then your day, your month, and your year are what's known as journey colors. And so there's an assumption or that you've come on this journey with your core color as you, and the day is your child color. So you tend to react and use the qualities from 0 to 12 in the first color. And then your second color is month. And your third color is your second color, your skills and what you've got with you, so that how you can deal with situations, and also a little bit about the challenges. And your year is your affirmation. So what did I come here to learn? What am I actually going to? What's my mission? So it gives you effectively 4 colors. And the only way you can be all gold is if you're 9, 9, 9, and 9. So you could be all 4 qualities of gold. And I would say the people...
That is hard going, isn't it?
Yeah, and the people that I've met that have got that either have really honed it and have got the Midas touch, and their life is an amazing journey. I know one guy like that. Or there's the challenges of that sort of completion. So, but everything else will be 3 colors and 1 extra, or you could be 2 colors, or you could just be 1 different color for each one of them, parts of that journey.
Well, that's very intriguing and a lot of fun. So if we step out of the personality for a moment, so I haven't got a favorite color. I just love all colors. And so I guess maybe what I'm asking is, some people have a favorite color and their wardrobe is pretty much around that. A lot of people just have black, which is, their preference. And we know is not a color either. So, but for people who are a little bit, I guess maybe I have several questions that I'm trying to ask in one, and that's not going to work. So let's take it one at a time. So, all right, for people who are shy about wearing color, who are reluctant to wear color, and either stick to neutrals of one kind or another, what are they missing out on? Why should they consider being a little bit more adventurous?
Do you want to answer that, Ruth? Or shall
I? Well, I mean, colour obviously comes down to style, doesn't it? I suppose there's when you have youngsters going through their teenage years, they turn to black very much, and it's almost like they want to be, they're being invisible, or they want to, they don't want to stand out of the crowd. I don't know. Sometimes it's a personality thing, and they're doing it, and then they're probably wearing black subconsciously, because, I mean, after all, black is quite flattering, especially for women. We're told that it hides a multitude of lumps and bumps and things like that. So there could be a good reason for in terms of style for wearing black.
Yeah, I think
but
yeah.
I was listening actually to a podcast interview Davina McCall did with Prue Leith, who is 86 or 87. She's a pretty amazing personality, and they discussed her colour sense, that she wants to, she really wants to make an impact and stand out in the crowd. And that's what she does. I mean, she's just the most wonderful, colourful personality. So, yeah, I suppose for some people that where you're trying to encourage them to actually come out of their shell and embrace even a little bit of colour with black stands out incredibly.
Okay, so you've brought up two really important points, because you've said, firstly, a lot of people are wearing black because they're hiding, and there is a kind of lack of confidence, not wanting to stand out. So it's,
but you can't force it though with some people. You can't.
So
yeah,
I think that was essentially the question I had, is why should people consider bringing color in? So for those who are somewhat shy and reticent to have color in their lives, what would you say the reason would be why this would be a good move?
I think it would be, well, what I've seen through the years of working with colour and inevitably dealing with lots of people that come with no colour, and slowly learn about colour, that actually some of them start off in the garden and put plants in the garden, and then suddenly they start to become part of the house, and then the house has more colour in it. And then eventually they get to their clothing, where they're feeling much more confident in themselves, where they can step out with a colour on. So I would always say, lots of people say, oh, I don't like orange as a colour, because it doesn't go with our skin colours, the majority of us. But actually a bowl of oranges in the middle of your room at home can make you smile. What it also does is it increases the serotonin in your body. So it automatically is going to that lower gut area. 25% of what we see with colour is for our vision. 75% is a vibration that goes down into our organs. So when we look...
It's interesting, isn't it, with common ailments?
Yeah. It is fascinating. I mean, it's
fascinating how it connects to those chakra colours.
It is. And it's, for example, yellow, for example, you get more saliva in your mouth. You start to digest not just information, but the body is starting to digest. And that, of course, works with the solar plexus area. So it's starting to be with the gallbladder and the middle stomach area. And so that works with the yellow. So when you wear it, your skin, which is the biggest organ in your body, is actually absorbing that frequency in the body. So if you're in black, you're just, you have no light coming in through your skin, and you're hiding that part, you're hiding psychologically, but you're also protecting yourself from the world, actually. That's what... So a lot of people will wear black hairdressers, people like that, because they don't want to be seen. They're doing the hair of somebody else. And therefore is good reason sometimes to wear it. Yeah. But every day is hard work.
I like actually what you said about yellow, increasing the amount of saliva, because there is also something about the production of saliva, which is soothing. So in terms of, I mean, there's a very famous Spanish surgeon who people go to him because he doesn't use anesthetic in his surgery. And what he does, it's a kind of form of hypnosis, but it's without being hypnosis in the way that we think of it. But what he teaches people is to produce saliva in their mouths at will. Because when we're producing saliva, the brain gets the signal that everything is okay. Because when our mouths go dry, often it's when we're tense and when we're anxious. So he always has a friend or a family member with the person who's having the surgery with them as a coach. And if he senses that the body is tensing up, he will say, check on your saliva. And so now here we have, a really good example of something very simple, a biological function that is being influenced by a color. And I think that's a very good one for people to work with to begin with. I also really like the fact that you're saying bring color into your life. And if you're too shy to actually have it on your person through your clothing, you can just start playing with it and making friends with color in other contexts, which I think is a beautiful thing for people. If you ask most people, they do have a favorite color, even if they don't wear it. So
Yeah.
what do you think determines our color preferences?
I think, well, some colors are easier on the eye than other colors for the actual physical eye part. So blue is the world's favorite color. It's the easiest color on the eye. We call ourselves a blue planet. We have a lot of water, and we see that as blue for the sea and things like that. So that's got a very calming antiseptic effect. And we know that blue actually does do that. It does calm the nervous system. It calms our voice because it deals with our throat area. It also has in it trust and integrity as part of that feeling with blue around us. I think we're really unaware of what impact all the colours actually have on our everyday. So I think when people feel safe, it becomes their favourite colour. For some people, the orange may be because orange is risk taking.
Yeah, it's freedom.
It's freedom.
Well.
It's the chance to express yourself. And maybe in their job role, they do something that's less freedom. And the orange is their favourite colour because it gives them something that they haven't got in their life. So there's so many reasons why I think people's favourite colours are different.
The warm colours are the colours of creativity, aren't they? And if you're a warm personality, you're tend to be quite easy to read.
Yes.
Compared to your cooler personality colours.
Yeah.
You play it cool, and people sometimes don't quite know how to take maybe an indigo or a violet. Whereas, the warmer coloured personality people are a little bit more
tend to be more extrovert, yes. And the cooler, more introverted because they're the observers. But I think also, we have to also accept that culture has a big part to play in colour. So, the Chinese love red because it's their lucky colour. It's what brings it into for them, where they've been brought up around it. That's why people say to me, but if you're blind and you don't see colour, then you haven't got colour. And I think if you talk to many blind people, they have the colours. They know the colours, they know the frequency, but they also have been listening in their growing up status of being blind to what we're say, oh, there's a blue here, or there's a red there, or there's a green there. And everything is quite natural, like you said about yellow. For me, green is the biggest thing because green automatically opens the lungs. It allows us to breathe more openly. It oxygenates our blood. And I've done lots of different experiments over the years with doctors in surgeries where we did blood pressure checks. And then when they sat in a green with all the green blinds, so a surgeon will wear green because the blood doesn't show in quite the same way, a paramedic. But actually what they're also doing is making the body breathe and actually oxygenating the blood as well. Whereas, again, with the royal blues, for example, and the indigos are about the law and justice and royalty. And those sort of things. Our police force was always royal blue until the late 40s. and it became black. And therefore,
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it just is interesting. There's a different feel about that element of the law. Judges and barristers, especially judges, wear red on the whole. So because they're saying they're the power, but actually that's not their role. Their role was to be the to answer any questions and not making any decisions. That's down to the people, the jurors. But that all changed when the judges put on red, and that comes from Rome and the empire and you know how we see red. And so again, we're so influenced by our cultural parts as well of our colours.
Yeah, and you look at political party colours as well.
Yeah, very interesting. And for me, I just watch the guys' ties, because Trump and his team are very good at it. They wear different colour ties for different information they're giving you. So the red tie is going on when there's going to be something that's said that's got to be moved forward. The blue tie goes on when there's a softer communication about things that are maybe harder. The green tie is he wears gold ties. A bit different for us, because now the guys don't even wear ties really in anymore, so it's harder to read. But if you watch the women, you can also see where they're coming from as well. And there's messages in the colour, so it's a language all of its own. And it's such a huge area, and once you sort of sink yourself in, as Ruth and I will say, you know, there's so much to see.
Yeah, it's a minefield. Once you see it, you kind of yeah.
Wow, you have given us so much to think about. Thank you so very, very much. And I am just reminding everyone that Alison's books are called Know Your Color Personality and Everyday Color. And now, if people want to find you ladies, how do they do that?
Well, if just follow up with mine, thecolourministry.co.uk is my main website, and everything's on there to sort of feed back to me. So, and I'm Alison at the Colour Ministry and Colour Ministry as well. But yeah,
okay. And Ruth?
Yeah, well, my main situation in I'm not as involved in my everyday work like Ali is at the moment. I'm predominantly involved in red light therapy. So it's Ruth at daintree.healthproducts.com.
Okay.
So we are involved with a type of red light therapy for humans and animals. And
yes.
Yeah, we've had a bit of fun doing colour personalities for dogs, which was great fun.
Well, thank you both for your time today. I think that in our time, when often people are feeling very disheartened and hope is at a premium, I think you have given us a very simple tool to help lift our spirits, energize us, anchor us, and calm us down. And so I invite everybody to learn more about the use of color in healing. And I thank you for watching today. Until next time, goodbye.